Hi everybody, I wanted to take just a few minutes of your time to show you a really cool app that I think will help us a great deal. It's called Trello. Trello is a project management tool that is based on the idea of lists, creating lists. So I'm just going to show you this really quickly. I have this ITS to-do list here. And within my ITS to-do list, or I guess you could call it a board, it's not really a list, there's multiple lists on a board. And these lists, you create cards. And these cards can be dragged around, they can be moved from between lists as needed. The other thing is, as you can see over here on the right, I have members of this particular board, and also an activity wall that shows everything that's been done to any of the cards. So let's take one of these cards, for instance. Create FAQs for NutriKids. Right now, Jorge Rojas is in charge of this card, but let's say I wanted to add somebody to work on it with Jorge. All I have to do is drag, this time I'm going to drag Mike Winger. I'm going to drag Mike, and now Mike is also responsible for helping out on this card. Also, there's some icons on the card. This card has a checklist, and also somebody's made a comment on it. So every card has a backside. And you can see that here's the checklist. As you check it off, it shows you the percentage you've completed on this card. The other thing it allows you to do is you can assign other members, you can edit labels, assign a due date, attach needed files. Let's say there's a Word file that really should go along with this. You can attach it here. You can move it, you can subscribe. Subscribe allows you, even if this is not your card, you're not responsible for it, but you want to keep up on it. Any changes that are made once you subscribe, you get an email about. And then this is the activity screen where you can make comments. Now, what's really great about this is when we work on projects now, we try to send emails back and forth to each other. Sometimes there's 5, 6 people working on a particular project, and the emails can get hard to keep track of. Well, in Trello, you mark it on the back of the card, and then you have all the information for that one project or that one piece of a project in a single place. And then on the right-hand side, over here, you can see, again, the activity for all the cards. So I assigned Mike Winger to this card, and now I'm going to close it. Let's say Mike begins to work on the card, or he's going to move it over to the doing. Let's say the jive VoIP is more important. I want that done more quickly. And then you can move again around. You keep track of the entire history of the project. If I go back to my main page, I created a cabinet to-dos. And I started playing around with it. I assigned Ben some things. I assigned Emilio some things just from our last cabinet meeting. And I added a card to this one, so it's just not to do, doing, or done. I added soup approval. So let's say there's something that Dave needs to approve before we move it to the done category. We can do that. So that's Trello in a nutshell. The one great thing about Trello, or not the one great thing, one of the great things about Trello is, I'm going to move this over, is that it has an iPad app. That's really, really cool. So I'm going to close out of here. I'm going to go to the cabinet to-dos. And you can see this all happens in real time. So for instance, let's say I move this top one over to doing. You'll notice that on the website, it moved instantly. If I go back, or in real time, if I go back here, I move it back, you'll notice on the iPad. So multiple people can be working on these projects, moving these cards around, creating lists, and you get to see it all in real time. I think it would benefit principals, PLC groups, lots of different uses for it, and it's free. I actually subscribed. You can pay just a teeny bit of money and get Google Docs integration, which I chose to do. So we have this for you to use. Please use it. I hope it's of value.